Hey, Life Group Leaders. Hope you're doing really well. Hope you've had a wonderful Easter holiday and the warmer days have got you as pumped as they have me for jumping back into Life Group this spring and as we go into summer. Wanted to point out that a couple weeks ago I sent an email out and had attached the discussion guide for this week's life group, and extremely out of character to send it so early, so you may have missed it, but I did send it. But I'm attaching it to this email as well, so you can have that to prepare for this week. The discussion guide, it's a one-off discussion, just a single discussion guide. And it came from a heart that I began to develop, wanting to just facilitate a real practical conversation where people in our life group can share what are the daily spiritual practices, the little things, and that people are doing in their devotions and their quiet times and their prayer life and their worship and their accountability, and just what are the little things that they're doing, because I just began to suspect that there's a depth and richness in people's personal walk with the Lord that if we could just let those be shared, it would just really be transformational for the group. And so that's where this came from. And it may seem really like an elementary thing of discipleship and the Christian life to be talking about life. Quiet times, but let's get back to the basics a little bit and just let those things be shared, and let's go into this new season really everybody being encouraged to just follow hard after the Lord personally. So a couple things to draw your attention to. First of all, there may be some guilt in your group talking about this, because maybe I haven't had a quiet time in a while, maybe I haven't had a quiet time in weeks, and I feel a little guilty about that. Disarm that. The purpose of this conversation is to be an encouragement and a catalyst moment, to share ideas, to hear what God's doing in other people, and jump in. So actually the last point in the discussion guide is if you're starting a new quiet time routine and you miss a day, don't worry about it. Shake it off, jump right back in the next day. And so don't let there be any guilt. Just address that really quickly and move on, and let it be a time of encouragement. And to really share practically what are people doing, what can we do, what are some tips, some ideas, some strategies to really carve out space and time for me to be with the Lord each day. Secondly, the text is John 15, which is the I am the vine, you are the branches, and let there be some discussion come from that text. Do we really get the picture that Jesus is painting of a vine with branches, and that if a branch becomes disconnected from the vine, it withers and dies? That's what the Christian life is compared to. Do we grasp that if we're not daily abiding in Him, that we are withering? Is that real to us? Is that the way that my relationship with Jesus is playing out? That if I'm not spending time with Him, I'm withering. And then on the other side of that, in verse 7, it says, "If you abide in me, ask what you will, and whatever you ask, it'll be done for you." That's an amazing promise of the powerful nature of the spiritual life when we're abiding in the Lord. So really, let there be some great conversation come from the text, and then the discussion transitions into real practical, tips. 1, 2, 3. What can you do in your quiet time? Let people talk about it. As you throw those things out there, people say, "Yeah, I do that," or "Man, that would never work for me," or "I kind of do it this way," and then it's not an exhaustive list. So let people share other things that they do. Really, let it just be a time for testimony and people to just share the practical little everyday things. The last thing I want to draw your attention to, though, is in that list, the third point says ask questions. What does the writer say, and what does it mean to me? That's all in reference to whatever people are reading in their scripture reading devotion as part of their quiet time. Donnell and I just got back from a pastor's conference in Nashville. It was awesome, a lot of takeaways, and here I am at this pastor's conference being duly reminded that we do not read the Bible subjectively, and that I'm reviewing the discussion guide and I've committed the error right there. What does it mean to me? So I thought I would clarify. We do not read the Bible subjectively. The first part of that says, what does the writer say? Let your group share. What are some of the resources that people are using to understand text and understand the Bible and Scripture, what are some of the resources that are actually being used in your group? Is your life group a place where people can ask questions? Hey, I've been reading this and I don't get it. Can y'all help me understand this? So we read the Bible to discern what it says and what it means, but then we do read the Bible looking for personal application. So I thought I'd clarify that as you prepare to have the discussion about practical, everyday spiritual practices. So I'm really praying for you. I hope that this conversation will be a rich time, and who knows, that you may be totally surprised to discover the depth of another person's walk with the Lord that you didn't realize, and just be encouraged, and it transform the way you spend time with the Lord each day. So that's the hope, that's the design, that's the desire. So praying for your discussion. If I don't see you before Sunday, have a great weekend, and I will catch up with you later. Thanks, Life Group Leaders.